tidak susah dikembali. Kita bicara pertama tentang bisa dengar di belakang bertanya, menanyakan dulu diskusi. Pertama tentang animal welfare. Ya, kalau kita baca di World Organization tentang animal welfare, kita punya 5 freedom. Ya, yang pertama adalah freedom dari rasa sakit, cedera atau penyakitnya. Freedom from pain, injury, and disease. Ini yang digema-gemakan sekarang untuk animal welfare. Yang kedua bebas dari yang ketiga bebas dan bergerak dan bergerak secara normal. Jadi sekarang kita dituntut oleh konsumen untuk bisa memberikan keleluasaan secara normal untuk hewan peliharaan kita untuk menunjukkan perilakunya dia. Yang keempat adalah bebas dari rasa lapar dan haus. Nah ini tentu sudah tugas konsen dari kami dari kami BIM. Kemudian yang kelima adalah bebas dari ketidaknyamanan. Sebenarnya dari ini semua, kalau seandainya kita mau sederhanakan dari semua 5 kebebasan yang diharapkan oleh ke hewan kita, ke ternak kita, kata kuncinya adalah komfort. Kata kuncinya adalah nyaman. Ya, kalau dia sudah nyaman, pasti sudah tidak lapar, pasti sudah tidak haus, pasti dia sudah bisa berproduksi dengan bagus. Ini kuncinya dari yang kita pahami secara gampang apa sih yang dimaksud dengan animal. Oke. Saya ingin memberikan pendekatan nanti Pak yang lebih banyak. Ya, nanti waktunya juga 50-50 sama Pak Yan. Jadi banyak Pak Yan dari saya. Ini tergantung dari Pak. Jadi Pak Yan. Jadi saya memberikan tentang full house brooding aja. Full house brooding ini teknologi yang terbaru ataupun yang bisa kita harapkan dilaksanakan oleh pemerintah kita sekarang. Maksudnya bagaimana bisa brooding? Kalau kita kan sekarang masa brooding itu ganti ya. Apa itu masa brooding? Masa masih bersih yang ada yang buka. Ya, aslinya atau murninya di Mesir itu kan masih dipimpin sama hidupnya. Sementara kita kan sudah tidak ada lagi yang berbentuk. Kita sudah berinduksi dalam bentuk bersih tidak ada yang induknya diganti dengan indukan. Masa indukan itu namanya masa brooding. Nah, masa brooding itu kita harapkan bisa full semua. Kalau sekarang masa brooding masih bisa sekali. Nah, kita menawarkan teknologi baru itu bisa full masa brooding untuk full di seluruh ruangan. Jadi kuncinya adalah kita harus bisa memberikan kenyamanan terhadap ayam kita. Kalau seandainya di usia kita nyaman, performanya pasti akan bagus. Ya. Ini dari persiapan kita nanti ya sekarang ya. Oke, mulai dari persiapan liter yang bagus, kemudian luas area beli. Nah ini sekarang kita anggap aja semua ruangan kita ini adalah kandang. Kita bukan bikin sekat-sekat lagi. Sekarang kan mesti sekat-sekat ya. Kita bikin semua. Itu namanya full house. Nah, apa keuntungannya nanti saya? Waktu saya tidak lama 10 menit dan 10 menit ya. Kemudian pakai koran masih atau pakai kain atau pakai emas. Sekarang teman-teman peternak tidak pakai koran lagi. Cari koran yang susah. Dulu yang harga 3.000 4.000 sekarang udah 10.000. Nah, yang baru pakai kain sekarang. Kain gelondongan itu udah yang bagus. Sekarang ya. Kalau pas itu apa bagusnya? Kalau pas dia lewat di sini itu juga bukan orang sama. Oke, pemasangan pemanas gitu, heater, pemang heater Heater itu bukan heater yang untuk alami. Biasanya kita pakai server saya menggunakan mata select. Itu bukan pakai iklan. Kita pakai heater yang bisa disembur. Nanti ada gambar. Jadi semua ruangan kita hangat. Oke. Mungkin kalau jadi peternak Anda tetap masih dilihat hanya paruhnya. Apa? Jadi kalau dari kaki telapak ini yang harus kita sampaikan untuk sudah. Ya. Sekarang tentang cek pakan. Yang penting dari pakan untuk diusin kalau kita ada pakai pakan, selain dari nutrisinya bagus, nutrisinya sesuai dengan kebutuhan itu fisiknya. Fisiknya maksudnya berminat makannya. Bagaimana kita dari pakai pakan menyediakan makan yang memang sesuai dengan keinginan si diusin ini. Jangan terlalu besar, jangan terlalu kecil, jangan terlalu keras. Itu yang menyebabkan dia bisa nyaman nanti. Kita sudah mengadakan penelitian, kita buat makan yang ukurannya lebih dari 2,8 mili, 2,2 sampai 2,8, kecil dari 1 mili, antara 1 sampai 2 mili. Kita biarkan, ternyata diuji pilihan. Berarti ini yang diinginkan oleh si Yesus. Ya, memang semakin besar ayam akan mencari yang lebih besar. Tapi kalau yang kecil, dia mau yang ini, yang 1 sampai 2 mili. Tapi kalau kecil dari 1 mili, dia juga dapat. Jadi kalau berbentuk tepung, dia juga. Oke. Saya tidak. Terus, setelah dari pakan adalah tempat minum. Ya, tempat minum kita harus berikan sesuai tingginya sesuai dengan besar tingginya si ayam. Kalau kecil, masih diusia berdata, itu levelnya harus selevel matanya si ayam. Untuk apa? Untuk gampang melihat. Oh, ini tempat tidur. Ini nipple saya tempat tidur. Tapi setelah itu dia harus menengah. Ya, mungkin sekitar 40 derajat sudutnya semakin besar semakin tinggi. Ini closing. Closing itu adalah membersihkan panel. Malamnya ini penting ya. Kenapa? Karena biasanya kalau kita lihat di tanda, yang dilihat adalah di luar, mungkin cuma minum, cokol atau tidak. Tapi kalau di dalam kalau ketika ada pipa tanda lihat masalahnya itu biasanya. Akan bagus, kotor bagus, pasti bagus. Tapi kalau pipanya kotor, banyak virusnya, pasti ada ini. Oke. Kemudian kenyamanan ayam ini kita lihat dari penyebarannya. Ini saya buat masih contoh yang pakai pemanas lokal, ya pemanas general. Tapi saya ingin cuma melihatkan bagaimana sih pengaruh dari pemanas kalau saya tidak. Ada yang berkumpul, ada yang jauh, ini terlalu tinggi, ini terlalu lama. Ini yang bagus. Kalau ini biasanya ada angin, ada gangguan, ada cahaya yang lebih, dia akan mengumpul ke tempatnya. Ini pengaruh dari maksimum dan minimum dari panas yang kita berikan. Di masa kecil, di kuncinya saja, di masa kecil, range-nya adalah kecil antara panas dengan dingin, tapi kalau di masa yang sudah besar, range-nya sudah panas. Jadi ya, intinya kalau pas POC kita benar-benar harus fix dengan panas. Jangan lebih dari 32, jangan kurang dari 32, jangan lebih dari 32. Karena range-nya kecil sekali. Di saat POC, di saat sudah besar, range-nya masih bisa sampai 6 sampai 8. Nah ini contohnya kalau seandainya kita masih bisa bermain, istilahnya bermain zona nyamannya ayam kalau di ayam yang sudah besar itu antara 6 sampai 8 derajat Celcius. Suhu yang paling rendah dengan suhu yang paling tinggi, ayam besar itu dia masih bisa toleran di 6 derajat, 6 sampai 8 derajat. Tapi kalau di Indonesia ya, dia paling cuma 1 derajat aja. Ini yang saya terangkan. Jadi ini adalah zona nyamannya dia. Kalau terlalu panas dia dites, kalau dingin dia akan terus. Yang terbaru lagi teknologi sekarang adalah cahaya. Kita selama ini ada dua hal biasanya yang terlewatkan. Yang pertama masalah yang kedua adalah masalah kita di Indonesia. Dua hal ini sangat lengkap dan tersedia setiap saat, murah dan mudah. Tapi karena murah dan mudah dan tersedia terus, kita jadi nggak fokus, kita jadi lupakan. Padahal cahaya ini juga sangat berguna. Kalau kita ke peternak, yang pertama kita lihat adalah udara, yang kedua kita lihat adalah cahaya. Kalau seandainya cahayanya tidak bagus, ayam juga lihat. Ayam akan stres produktivitas. Kelompok animal itu tidak akan. Jadi sekarang kita motivasi peternak kita untuk memberikan waktu istirahat bagi ayam. Jadi kalau biasa peternakan di broiler kita lampunya 24 jam. Tapi sekarang tidak. Jadi ada waktu jeda untuk dia untuk bisa mencerna makanannya, untuk bisa beristirahat, untuk bisa membentuk sistem kekebalan tubuhnya dia. Jadi ada waktunya. Mungkin gampang cerita kalau seandainya kita kerja 24 jam dan tidur seharian, pasti kondisi kita. Nah, dia perlu kita kasih sejarah. Nah, ini cara-cara bagaimana kita bisa memberikan jeda istirahat. Jadi, ini yang saya tawarkan tadi tentang full house budi. Jadi kalau kita anggap ini kandang kita secara full panjang, lebar kali panjang seperti ini, kita tidak pakai sekarang lagi, tapi kita sudah buat pemanas mungkin satu di sini, satu di sana ke arah sini, satu ke arah sana, supaya panas bisa sampai ke pojok sana, kita tambah lagi kipas di sini untuk mendorong panas. Itu yang kita pakai dan itu hasilnya lebih bagus. Kenapa? Karena udara panas rata. Yang kedua, ayam juga sudah memakai semua area untuk hidupnya dia. Yang ketiga, bagusnya lagi karena dia sudah mengenal tempatnya dia, tahu tempat makan, tahu tempat minum, tahu tempat dia bermain, ayam tidak perlu beradaptasi. Adaptasi dari masa-masa fase pertumbuhan ayam itu membuat ayam akan produksinya. Ini yang kita tawarkan untuk peternak, kita motivasi peternak bisa melakukan. Dulu mungkin yang sering di peternakan biasanya ada masalah telat untuk memisahkan sekat. Apa yang terjadi kalau telat? Berapa? Prediknya berapa? Penyakit apa biasanya yang timbul? Pernapasan tidak ya, karena sudah terlalu padat. Kalau seandainya full hospital, masalah itu tidak ada. Kenapa? Itu semua ruangan sudah dipakai. Hanya itu saja. Jadi ini full hospital. Jadi kita tidak ada sekat-sekat di semua ruangan sudah dipakai. Untuk apa? Berarti kapasitas padatkan benar. Ya, seragaman lebih baik karena semua ruangan tidak ada yang berisi lagi dari ayam. Hasil akhir bagus di printingnya. Saya ini mau cerita sedikit. Jadi printing itu maksudnya kalau ayam sudah dikenal untuk makan saya, ayam sudah kenal untuk minum saya, sepanjang hidupnya dia akan gampang untuk mencari makanan, gampang mencari. Ini masalahnya kalau di peternak yang membaksakan kecil pakai koran, setelah pakai koran pakai feeder tray, setelah itu pakai biji, setelah itu pakai tempat makan kecil, habis itu pakai tempat makan besar. Buat ayam ganti 3-4 kali atau 5 kali itu akan membuat dia harus beradaptasi dan sementara untuk di broiler karena nggak bisa, kita harus cepat lari ya. Ingat kalau broiler itu seperti orang lari 100 meter, kalau layer kayak orang maraton gitu panjang gitu. Kalau broiler harus secepat-cepat. Ini contoh kalau seandainya kita bikin full house building dengan pemanas sentral, semua ruangan ini pakai kamera infrared ya. Kita lihat bahwa semua area panasnya sangat tinggi. Nah, ini yang kalau semua ruangan sudah sama, area sudah sama, penyebaran pasti sama. Nggak mungkin ada yang mengumpul di satu tempat. Kenapa? Karena dia nggak tahu semua tempat sama, udara sama, panas sama, cahaya sama. Ini semua pasti akan menyebar. Kalau ayam sudah menyebar rata, padatan pasti tidak ada. Yang kedua, komposisi pakan menurun pasti tidak ada. Semuanya ada. Ya, sehingga ini yang diharapkan dari penyakit pulang. Kalau mungkin sedikit saya cerita, kalau seandainya semua tempat sudah pernah diberi oleh kotoran oleh saya, berarti ayam akan revaksinasi sendiri dari kotorannya. Ya, ayam akan makan. Itu nanti cerita akan saya lanjut. Untuk bisa yang seperti tadi bisa dipakaikan kombinasi putih Pak yang akan cerita ya. Jadi kalau sekarang kan pakai pas di sini udara masuk dari sana semua pakai panas. Nah nanti ada jendela-jendela nanti. Nah itu yang kita lakukan. Jadi Google House mungkin mungkin dipakai aja. Video semua diperhatikan ini ya. Ini contoh pembinaan yang kita lakukan nanti. Nah, kita sudah pakai ya sekarang ya. Ini sistem mobil berarti udara masuk dari samping. Setelah ayam besar, setelah umur 4 minggu, 5 minggu, itu sistem tanam. Dengan kombinasi yang seperti ini, ayam akan nyampe. Kenapa? Karena dia ada udara yang bagus. Ya. Biasanya sistem konvensional ini yang bermasalah di peternak, yang kalau cuma bikin tunnel itu misalkan malam kelembapan tinggi suhu rendah dia akan bingung juga kalau perlu saya kasih angin besar supaya amonia bisa keluar. Kalau seandainya saya biarkan ayam pasti akan defect. Nah, dengan sistem seperti ini itu tidak bisa. Oke, ini kebiasaan-kebiasaan yang baiknya biasanya kalau minggu datang mereka biasanya mudah tidak kembali lagi memberi makan yang secepat mungkin. Dan yang kedua ini terlalu sering memberikan juga mungkin teman-teman terlalu sering waktu di lapangan masih bilang mungkin itu dulu kalau pertanyaan nanti kita gabung dengan setelah Pak yang sedang we still opt for the minimal welfare approach. We also talk on the retake. Yeah. have 1 hour sleeping. That's what. Right. Hey, hello. Let me what we are working on a budget in media about Broiler. On the approach animal welfare approach on broiler management. But today I want also to talk something about cage free, because worldwide we see also quite a development on cage free, especially in Western Europe, US, Australia, and New Zealand. They are focusing also on cage free. Also here in Indonesia, already cage free houses. All the universities here together. But yeah, even when you start cage free, and I will explain in my presentation what are the struggles we have in Western Europe and how we can support Western Europe if countries talk about it. What is the reason behind? In short, animal welfare in the multi-sector, I think it's broader than that. More innovation and animal welfare in the broader sector. Being also Bob mentioned already how we make that practical. And also in the layer sector, that's mainly case free part. And I want to also show you some innovations, but maybe go further than what we actually. I mentioned already, there are 5 rules, 1993, where they started talking about animal welfare, but what is animal welfare? What are the requirements? And we decided we decided freedom from hunger and thirst, freedom from discomfort, freedom from pain, injury, or disease, freedom to express normal behavior, and freedom from fear and distress. Especially point 4 is a difficult one. What is natural behavior? And how you express natural behavior? Because a lot of animals, especially poultry, and we give them, if you look to point 1, free from hunger and thirst. The nature, chicken has to find food and water in the nature. So the full day he is going around, and if you look here in the company, then you see a lot of chickens very often walking and looking for his food. But from nature, that's natural behavior. But we put that birds inside the house. And that's a big discussion also in Western Europe. And what is now natural, expressed normal behavior? And yeah, more or less, after a while, when you place it in a barn and they have already feed and they have already water, but what they have to do the rest of the day, and how you prevent that they bored. So that are the things what we continuously with the sector and animal welfare organizations talk about. Also in Indonesia, there's also a law. It was in 2019, or 2009, sorry. And I do not read it all completely, but even I was looking on the internet, but there is also in Indonesia a law animal welfare. Keep that in mind as well. I think it's also based on what is on the 5 regulations what is decided to go by. Also in Indonesia, they have a law of animal welfare. If you look on the, I was this week for preparing my presentation for animal welfare organizations,
And there are really a lot of welfare organizations. They are taking care of with all their own regulations to make sure that animals in general get a better life. But as mentioned, a lot of own requirements. But yeah, we are saying if you build a movie house and you do not fulfill one of the requirements, yeah, which one you have to follow? That was also a big struggle in the Netherlands. We start talking about welfare organizations. You have even in the Netherlands, in the government, it's going that far. In the government, because Partij van de Dieren, it's an animal party. They are fighting for in the government, fighting for animal rights. The idea behind this, they say, yeah, but animals cannot vote. Yeah, that's the way of approach. If you're looking here in Indonesia, they use chickens for food. And I think most of you know how to slaughter chicken. But in the Netherlands, they don't know anymore. Because it has also development counting. What is the welfare for the people in what position you are? Sometimes I'm thinking we are far over the top. I prefer more, less back to basic, like in Indonesia. And of course, we have to take good care of our birds. That's for me sure. Sometimes we have a discussion in the Netherlands on thinking what they are talking about. What are the ideas behind it? What you have to do with that as a sector. I think it's called Broiler. Now, about this discussion, we have also an organization. Translation to English is animal protection. They are very constructive, targeted the sector. We want better animal welfare, but we know that we cannot do everything. Because we have to find an optimum for that. And they discuss with the sector, multi-sector, how we are going to do that. It's very constructive, talking with the sector, what can we go to do? And because a farmer needs to make money, otherwise he cannot maintain farming, he cannot use food. That's the reason why they said, okay, we want to help you, and we make a star system. And every star, the more stars, the more requirements, but you can also do more asking for your need. That's the way how they even make better learning system for the farmers. So that's the way you see, for example, how many birds per square meter. Usually in the Netherlands, between 18 and 21 square meter. That is usual. When you go to one star, you have only about 12 meters, 12 square meter. That means that your density per house drops. That means the bird you're selling, you need to have more money to earn the same amount of money. Also, the two stars, and the strange thing is that you see here a little bit higher, but then you see other requirements. For example, here they call it distraction material. Then you have to put additional material in the house. And what I mentioned before, we give them already 1 and 3, but they have something for playing, what they say. And the more stars, the more requirements you have. Even it's going that far that birds have to get access to outside. But if you look into animal health, everyone knows also in Indonesia the AI situation, influenza. It's also a big issue. It's vaccinated, but in Europe, until now, we do not vaccinate. This is a big risk. Birds flying over, AI infecting the birds, and we have in Western Europe, we have developed a stamp out method. There's no vaccination. because we are an exporting country. So we cannot export when we start with vaccination. Indonesia is not exporting, they can vaccinate. So that is one of the things, one of the requirements. Sometimes welfare is getting up, animal health is going down. That's always like that. You can very difficult combine. This is a picture from the Netherlands. I think you will maybe know the house will see here, but this is very exceptional, and this is starting the last 5 years. Starting with broilers with outdoor access. So you see still modern houses. This is an example of compared to Indonesia, on the left side you see quite traditional houses, manual feeders, manual drinkers, and on the right side you see more modern houses, and part of both showed you already what we're working on and helping our customers on the change from open to closed house. That's already a big step. We don't know exactly the numbers at the moment in Indonesia, but if I have a rough guess, I think 60-40% at the moment, open closed housing. But still, we see a big transition also in Indonesia from open to closed housing. Why is that so big a change? One of the first things what you have to take into account is that even when you build an open house, that the radiation heat of the sun is very underestimated. In Indonesia, always warm, we don't need any insulation. I do not agree on that. We have to even protect that from the heat. And also from our own experience in our own farms, last year we started with insulated insulation in our own farms. And even the supplier of sensitive crops said, why are you doing that? And now we see that our temperature in the house is much more stable. We prevent that the too hot air and the radiation heat up the clothes. There's also, if you look about welfare, only insulation of temperature can help you already to block, make it through. What type of broiler house system do we have? Now the traditional with litter, just in open house, closed house, just concrete floor, you put litter on top, and you place the birds on top. Then we see some development because at the moment it's quite difficult to get rice dolls or good quality rice dolls. And more companies are thinking on plastic slab, placing birds on a slab. Then we have cage systems where to make more production in one house, cage system where they put manure belts inside the house, put the lid on the manure belt. And then we have the cage system with plastic floor. The density is going higher, but you have not a disadvantage of the litter material. This is a modern house in Western Europe, and also here in Indonesia, you will see that. Closed housing, litter material, automatic feeders, automatic drinkers, and automatic climate system. This is, we call it the traditional system. Maybe a little bit difficult to see, but this is more or less the same layout. Only difference is that we place on 30-40 centimeter plastic slats, and we put the birds on the slats. The manure is falling through the slats on the concrete, and the birds are in a clean area. This is the system with litter material inside the cage. They produce all the birds in the cage. To be honest, this system is not very successful. Why is that? Because it is very difficult to ventilate. And the second one, also do the harvesting, what they are doing, they place all the birds in a long house on one belt, certain moment when you start harvesting, you have a full, complete belt at the end of the house. There's a lot of weight on new belts. And if you're looking from technical side, they have a lot of technical issues. Then, 10, 15 years ago, they built a lot of these houses. At the moment, not anymore. They stopped completely. This system is at the moment quite popular in Asia, especially South America and Southeast Asia, because we have here no cage bed yet. And you can, in a very short time, you can increase your production a lot. The system is already also installed in Indonesia, because I know for sure, because I started, the first one I started by myself, it's in West Java. Last week I spoke to the installation company, system is still running after 6 years, and they are very satisfied with the results still. Why is this system so successful? Maybe you relate it to meat quality, and you place them not in the litter litter, can, especially in tropical climates, can have a lot of problems, especially when you're wet litter. You have high humidity here, just high humidity, very difficult to maintain a good litter quality. Avoiding spillage of feed. When the feed is falling into the litter, some farms say, yeah, they eat it, forget it, if there's fresh feed beside, birds will take the fresh feed and not dirty feed in the litter. I have also seen that, from own experience, that the use of antibiotics can be almost zero, even though crops with coccidios very limited antibiotic use. Catching is automatic, so it saves a lot of labor. It's not the real argument in Southeast Asia, because labor costs are very low here in Southeast Asia, so that's not a real argument to invest in the system. High stock density, also saving on energy, also in Indonesia, energy is very cheap here, not a real argument. The only disadvantage is for, because this house will be efficient when you have the slaughter capacity per day around 30,000 to 40,000 birds per day. And that is the biggest struggle what we have with the systems, because the wet market is really big, still really big in Indonesia. The last year we see some developments that slaughtering capacity will increasing, but it is more forced by government than it is a request from the market. That's the reason technical very good, but we have still a problem. You have very good production, and then during harvesting, if you start harvesting and you can only, for example, slaughter 10,000 birds per day, and you have 17,000 birds in the house, it takes you 7 days. Then you see your performance will drop dramatically. Now, what I mentioned there is will become more and more expensive, difficult to get good quality. Even sometimes complaints from a customer not always available. So that's and also if you look to will find a lot of governments are struggling with the multi-resistant bacteria. And also the World Health Organization is mentioned that we see more and more multi-resistant bacteria. And they are blaming the meat production, also the poultry sector. So that's also giving antibiotic very easy. Also for farmers, if you have a disease, okay, give an antibiotic. But on a certain moment, that the antibiotic is not working anymore, then you have a real big problem. And also from experience, last year, 2 years ago, we did a test, but not here, it was in Vietnam. We did a resistance test of antibiotic on certain bacteria. We had a disease in the bottle. We tested it, 10 different antibiotics. Only 2 are working. 2 are indicated, and 6 completely resistant. There's a big risk, even not only for human, even for the productions and protein production by themselves. If you can reduce antibiotic use, it's good for as image for the sector, but even other departments. So I know it's a big struggle. We as the host are also looking into it in the best way possible. And what Dr. Rob also showed you, this is also a part of a strategy to lower our antibiotic use. Because when a bird is comfortable in a comfortable area, they are less sensitive on getting disease. Then another thing is the more advanced controls, innovation will find. Yeah, I am also climate specialist for the house. The last 3 days I was testing also in home production, or new systems, was this controller. Controllers and microclimate controllers are next. They're always awake, give you an alarm. Only you have to set them to good settings to make it that they work properly, of course. But you see also on that part there are a lot of developments to increase and improve your management. Also about automatic feeding, you see still a lot of farms, they are feeding all the feeders by hand or the drinkers. Also automatic feeding, we will have quite a lot of experience how to advise and how to do that in the best way. That's still a big step for Indonesia. I think you see here, for example, Broiler. I think Indonesia is for the host only country where we have no filters. And that's very exceptional. If I tell that in the Netherlands, then they look at me, no filters, how do you do that? And then they say, everything is in bags. 800,000 tons in bags? How do you do that? There are a lot of people. They are doing it. That are developments, but also can make it more efficient. To be honest, I'm in a project for Broiler in the host, Indonesia, and that's a real big struggle because the roads here and in the companies they are so small, it's very difficult to make even Broiler efficient with the farms. But that's more practical. Yeah, I think we will find a way for that. But yeah, there are practical issues also in Indonesia because of the roads here in Indonesia. Also drinking systems. Yeah, I think besides ventilation, that water quality is the next big topic in Indonesia. And that's not that water quality is not okay, because last year we had in Indonesia, and the quality water was coming out of the pump is quite good. You are also surprised. You are thinking, and I'm also thinking, how is it possible that quality of the water in Indonesia is so good? Yeah. There's a personal thinking. Maybe it has to do because we have a lot of volcanoes and a lot of lava stone. And lava stone is one of the best filters you can think about. So I think the situation that your soil is a very good filter for water. I think that's one of the reasons why the water quality was coming out of the sewer. It's very good quality. For one acre. The other thing is, we are, and the technical team of us, we observe that there are a lot of issues happen afterwards. And that's the storage, the pumping, drainage systems, etc. There are a lot of mistakes or misunderstandings how to build for good water quality. We recommend also to do flushing frequently to make sure that the drinking lines are clean. You can imagine when you start with already your storage is dirty, and you pump that through your drinking lines, they will not clean up your drinking. Therefore, we as Broiler are also focusing on water quality. So you see that was also because if you talk about feed, water is 2 times the amount of feed. They explain also always about feed. That's how we are feeding. But amount of water is 2 times the amount of feed. This water is a much more important ingredient than feed. There's so many innovations, and Dr. Ifran, we talked just a little bit before on innovations, and he was even looking at it. Okay, this sounds quite new to me, maybe we'll give it short. If you talk about welfare, that welfare organizations, they start, I think we have too much time to think, it's another discussion, but they say when the bird is actually getting out of the egg, time that they come to the farm, it's a long time. They can't become hungry and thirsty. I don't want that. It's too long. There's one big hatching company, Extract, maybe you have heard it before. It's a very innovative hatching concept. And they were start thinking about that. And they start talking about the welfare organizations. How we can solve that problem, I think we say. And they developed a system that birds get inside the hatching machine already, but as soon as they get out of the egg, already the water and the feed. It's a very new concept. It's now 6-7 years we started it. And now they are in the Netherlands. So hatching that's already small. And in Canada, but there are some countries they are thinking about it. And another development is also based on that. They say, okay, we can bring water and feed to the hatching, but we can also do the opposite. We bring the eggs to the farm, and we do the last part of hatching, we do it on the farm. And they call it all the on-farm hatching. But everything is based on early feeding. The early feeding of water and feed after the birds get out of the egg. When they start with this project, they say, okay, the performance is much better than it was before. The reality is, technical performance on slaughter rate is not that big difference. The big advantage of a here lately is that we have less problems with bacterial infection. And we're not sure where that exactly comes from, but we see when you look to the start with water feeding, it's faster. But you see with traditional hatching and growing, is that they after around 3 weeks they catch up. Because they go faster, afterwards the traditional is catching up when they become old. Because if you're looking from a commercial perspective, it's not really an improvement. That's the way how they sold before. But now even the government in the Netherlands is thinking about to make it mandatory. Every farmer has to do it. One way of know.
Yeah, for one meeting, maybe if it tends to ask, maybe too much. Yeah, okay. Yeah. In English, please. Okay. Yes. What's my point?
Yes.
And how's about the productivity of it? Compared to what's farming, which is most below and companies and right. special etiquette for the broiler, so they don't get contaminated from the outside environment. But also for productivity, is there any issues regarding that? The outcome? I have to go from this and
Very good question, because now you name one thing, because and I think I forget to mention that. For sure, if you take the traditional broiler, you will lose performance. That's for sure. Just and that's the reason why I'm saying, okay, animal welfare and animal health is always a contradiction. But in the Netherlands, we are going back to slow growers. Even there are requirements that are not allowed to grow too fast. Dus that is another development because the welfare organizations also say, because with the current breeds like Ross or Cock, they're growing too fast and it gives welfare problems. And they cannot walk anymore. I do not agree on that. This is what they are saying. That's what happened, for example, Hubbard is quite a lot of breeds with slow growth. Dus at the moment, we see in the Netherlands, for example, the growth of slow grower breeds are really big in a few years' time. And they say, it's growing so fast because the consumer wants it. Keep in mind, in the Netherlands, all the meat is, well, let's say 80-90% is going by supermarket to consumer. We have here the wet market. In the Netherlands, we have all the meat is going by the supermarket. But the supermarket decided on a certain moment, we are going only selling the slow growing meat. Dus more or less they force the consumers to buy only slow growing meat. So that is not that it is on free will, let's say that, but it has more to do how the situation is in the Netherlands. Because the big supermarkets, they don't want that the welfare organization complaining that you was selling not good meat. But I put it in the remarks. It's going even that far, for example. Super Indo, the Dutch, the Indonesian supermarket, belongs partly also to Ahold de Heide, and that is based in the Netherlands and Belgium. And I spoke to the CEO from Super Indo here, and even they have to do something in Indonesia about animal welfare because of that. And there's a lot of, let's say, politics behind it. Why some development like that? That's not really based on facts. Sometimes even feeling of people and not want to blame that kind. So that's a good question because always outdoor access means you don't want to have contamination. And now my grandfather, when he started with this cage, let's say that, and it was also the time with outdoor access for ladies at that time. And he said, it's not going well. All the diseases when in the 1950s, 1960s, last century, he put in all the birds inside because of cross contamination that you mentioned. We're getting back now. What a surprise. That is. I think there's other things that can be connected that is like the price cost or the price of the so and let's say in the region is a great conflict where mostly the government want to be providing as providing protection for the needs of the people in the country and where in Netherlands the people not as much as in the region and but in the region most governmental rules are trying to make all chicken can fulfill every needs, but I think it's quite contradictory to what you mentioned earlier about the scope because and according to the region Fully, fully. Today is more to give you an idea, a lecture, and I'm not saying that Indonesia is in a short time going into this direction, but it's good to know what happened in other countries sometimes and what is the reason there. But I fully agree with what you are saying, because this is, for you, looks like this. Even when I go back to the Netherlands sometimes, okay, what they are doing. And this, here, Indonesia is focusing safe meat, good quality, good production, etc., etc. That was after the Second World War. Netherlands was exactly the same. But in around 1980, between 80s and 90s, in the Netherlands, we have so many production that we hit the boundaries. We cannot produce so much, so efficiently, that the government says, okay, now we have a lot. We have so many good quality. And keep in mind that that's on a certain moment, it's not now, but I want to show you what happens when you end up in this kind of discussion, when you have so many production. Government is already introducing it. The reason that they have on GPS program, because they are, and now they are more focused on quality. Also in the Netherlands, and also on like quality regulations. Indonesia is also working on quality regulations. Last week I hear my colleague PK, something like that. If you do the track and tracing, want to implement that. Track and trace meat in the sector. That's all developments, and your production is so big, and on a certain moment you get, and then you start with this kind of discussion. And I'm not saying what is good or right, or good or wrong. But just to more to show you, okay, what are different countries and what are the developments, what are the innovations. And sometimes you also learn some things, maybe not so bad. And every farmer is complaining, what is that? Oh, maybe it was not so bad. Ini ada pertanyaan lain. Jadi tadi yang ditanyakan tentang ini ya, PK tadi ya, yang dibiarkan biasanya produksinya lebih rendah kan. Nah, Indonesia ini sebenarnya membutuhkan produksi yang lebih tinggi. Jadi ini adalah target yang berbeda, different target kan. For the development country, like talking about welfare, but in Indonesia maybe mostly we still talk about how to increase the production. But actually we have the sales too, yeah, but it's different market, yeah. With the slow growth for the native chicken, for the male, the female, yeah, for the layer, yeah. This is the sales, yeah. Yes, yes and no. Yes and no. I think it's not because of welfare that they have to build, because that's mainly they are cheap. Yeah. In my opinion, personal opinion, I think they may not always be population correct, but that's a personal opinion. If you can sell it for a better price, okay, then I can understand. But if I hear that they have to sell for the same price as the traditional product, I think you are thief of your own wallet. But it is what it is. Because if you look at feed conversion rate for mill layer, they are going up to 3. So, the traditional we are 1.5. But that's a completely different discussion. Too much for today. Yeah. Okay. Yes, I want to show also some case 3. I think all of you have heard about it, because worldwide there's spoken a lot about case 3. And the past everyone was laughing about Western Europe. Now you see US, New Zealand, Australia, even in Taiwan, Thailand, China, Korea, all talk about case free. How many slides are okay, then I will do it fast. Next page. But what we are doing in the Netherlands, or in Western Europe, we have egg codes. Every egg needs to be printed on the farm to make sure they do not buy or pay too much for, let's say, a wrong egg. So how they are doing that, they have here the number. First number is the type of production. The second one is the country. Every European country has its own code. And after that, the farm name. So you can always see when you buy an egg in Western Europe, you can always track back from which farm the egg is coming from. If you talk about tracking and tracing, I think with eggs we are quite successful with how to do that. Well, one thing. 0 is organic production. Number 1 is cage-free outdoor access. 2 is cage-free indoor, still in the barn, still not in a cage. And 3 is cage production. And that is not traditional cage you see in India. It's still a big cage called a colony. So around between 30 and 80 birds per compartment. Also, different requirements for the different codes. Sizes, how many area big, and this is more or less in Europe quite standard. Here you see more this traditional cage, but you more see also in Indonesia, and here the more enriched cages where apartments are bigger. Then cage free. Also the requirement, one of the most important is 9 hands per square meter living area. Nesting area are requirements. Apartments inside the house not bigger than 6,000 birds per apartment, and they need to have purchase. And the purchase later on explain. This is a farm. Fortunately, this house is burned out 3 years ago, but it was a nice picture. You see on the cloudy day that birds are going very far from the farm, and they come all back in that evening. Nice to see. Thanks. Yes. And also on the outside access is a requirement for 4 square meters per bird. Organic is then the biggest difference. That's low, and they get also organic feed. So that's a big difference with KCP with outdoor access. Organic is lower density and organic feed. Also a lot of organizations with all their own regulations. Maybe one. If you look to the nature, then you see that birds during the nighttime will sit in the tree. I on the same place. It's always, and that's the principle what we are using also in our production systems for cage-free. Here you see a modern cage-free system, and we go to the next. So you have to have an understanding of the animal behavior. Next. There you see nighttime sleeping. This is over the day, what the daily routine. And you see here in the system, or here on the top, and here in the middle, we place their purchase. There are steel pipes, but that's very the tree that they can sit during the night time, like in the tree. Then the feeders are installed inside the system, mainly chain feeding, but we also use for example, for tiny software houses. Feeders. Drinkers, in front of the laying nest, we install drinkers so that the birds are tracking towards the laying nest. The laying nest in the middle of the house where the eggs will be laid. And then area on the floor, that is the scratching area or the litter area, where they can do the dust lighting. Occasionally there are no mills, no mainly. But yeah, mainly dust lighting and the way they can walk is on the floor. Small movie, what it looks like in practice. This is inside the laying nest. De egg rollen hier om een egg helpen. Students may lay. And they can be automatic collected. Dit is also occasionally with mobile access. Dus after 10 p.m. dan al extra leeg. Dus I have access to outside. This is inside of the house, which is the correct area. This is a small introduction how we are basically what is quite common system to use. There are a lot of different production systems. So because of time, if you want to know more about it, we can explain, but I think there's too much information. 5 minutes. One, I think the most critical, because of this one, the most critical and the most critical issue about the birds have just got on system is that cage rearing is not possible for cage breed production. And I think that's rule number 1, rule number 2, and rule number 3. Never use cage rearing for cage breed production. You have seen so many issues with that. If you start changing cage breed, make sure that your breeding period also changes. Every country is trying it, and every country is failing. Dus hier een small maybe to end is how we do the reading also for cage breed systems. What makes also cage breed production successful. Yes, is that one back? The birds have just been put on the system. The scratching area is fenced off with the tables of flats, spark and bail. Feed and water are easily accessible on the infrastructure. You see here a platform. Already from a young age, so getting higher. All the water is on top of the flat. Birds will now already start to jump. If you learn the birds already or flying the jump access to the whole flat area, getting to the water jump to.
When the birds are able to jump, the scratching area is normal. The tail force feeder system also hinged in order to give the birds access to the scratching area from the side of the system. With the help of some rats, the birds can easily get back onto the slash platform. Later on, these will gradually be taken away in order to stimulate the birds to jump into the system. At night, the birds stay on the slack platform to rest. Because most of the manure is produced on the slant area, the manure in the scratching area is of good quality. Birds are even able to follow their instincts and take a dust bath. Create strong birds and good uniform tails and birds with chance.
Now can see that the quite short forward birds.
With all its encapsulated with feed and drinking line.
Next verse. This was very briefly about the idea of case tree systems. Maybe interesting on the way when I was coming here, I was texting with some an old friend of mine. He's in New Zealand, and he just informed me that New Zealand recently has a complete case ban. They go even further than in Western Europe. In 2025, there's not about any case anymore in New Zealand. There's some counties that are even more extreme than others. So also every county has its own requirements, and based on your remark, it's also based on the development of the country. And you see the more, let's say, developed countries, like in Southeast Asia, Taiwan, South Korea, Thailand, not yet. Not yet. Yeah, they are more thinking about it. Start mainly with a niche market. There's a small market, some requirements from some big, like McDonald's, for example, or KFC. So, okay, we want to have another type of production. That's, but in general spoken, Indonesia is much more focusing at the moment, more production-wise. They are already restricting it. If you're looking in the development phase, they're more looking at quality now. Better quality, same tracking and tracing, that kind of things. And I cannot say in what time they are going in this type of discussions. I think that will take at least 10, 20 years. But yeah, I think on a certain moment it will also come here, maybe first small and later on bigger. And the production is really big here. Compared to, for example, we have 44 million broilers in the Netherlands, and Indonesia 3.5 billion. It's quite big. Okay, Kasih? Oke, ada pertanyaan. Tadi kalian bicara tentang welfare ya, welfare di mana welfare ini yang bagaimana ternak itu harus bebas dari hal apa luka ya, kemudian diskomfort ya, tidak nyaman dan seterusnya gitu ya. Nah, sehingga dari konsep welfare ini itu juga akan menyangkut kepada bagaimana kita membuat kandang gitu ya. Kemudian mulai atapnya harus ada insulasi titik panas supaya tidak masuk sumber panas dan seterusnya. Kemudian living space tempat makannya harus cukup dan sebagainya. Jadi banyak aspek yang menyangkut terkait dengan animal welfare ya. Jadi sudah banyak negara yang sudah menerapkan animal welfare. Yang makin maju negaranya makin ketat regulasinya. Ya, Indonesia itu sudah
juga menuju ke sana, meskipun juga dalam persimpangan gitu ya. Produksi maksimal belum tercapai, tapi sudah bicara tentang animal welfare. Padahal animal welfare itu akibatnya adalah produksi per ekor menjadi lebih rendah. Ya, itu yang menjadi kesimpangannya. Ya. Sementara maximum production is not yet, but we have to like animal welfare. Ya. Oke, mungkin ada pertanyaan.
Maybe small ones. Some people think with welfare that production will go down.
Yeah.
That's not the case.
Yes.
Sometimes even better. That's really what I'm saying.
It's quality of.
Now, one example from Dave farmer in the Netherlands. He informed me he has a cage house and he has a cage tree house. And the production in the cage tree house is better than the cage house. So it's not always negative.
Ya, oke. Jadi sekarang memang konsepnya itu cage free, bebas tidak pakai kandang baterai lah gitu. Ya, nah ternak itu akan lebih bebas dan sekat-sekat gitu. Ya, dan itu kalau pemasaran telur yang tadi dilihat itu ada kode-kodenya gitu ya. Organik itu kodenya 0, kalau yang cage free 1, 2 itu apa artinya itu. Dan itu terkait dengan harga. Ya, telur yang dihasilkan dari baterai harganya lebih murah gitu ya. Mungkin nanti suatu saat Indonesia juga akan mencapai seperti itu ya, karena sekarang juga di Indonesia yang telur kita masih oke. Pertanyaan
kalau peternak kita, ibu-ibu kita yang lebih senang seperti kecil-kecil. Ya, ya. Kalau peternak pilihnya telur gede. Nah, ini kan juga
ya. Saya konsumen prefer
small size something ya. Sana anaknya banyak.
Ya, ada pertanyaan? Gantian ya. Ini. Nama-nama.
Misalnya, mainnya 50%. I have a question.
Okay.
This question for and the students from. For Mr. Robert, actually with myself.
Oke, ya.
Oke. Terima kasih Mr. Robert sudah berikan penjelasan yang belum mengenai tapi di sini kita bicara mengenai dan rakyat yang dimana saat ini kita masih banyak isolasi masih belum melakukan profesional yang harus. Nah, dari jelaskan mengenai profesional, bagaimana kita bisa dan proses. Nah, bagaimana ketika kita sudah menerangkan atau pengenalan hal itu, namun karena Indonesia, bagaimana ya, berapa sih persentase yang akan meningkatkan untuk digunakan sendiri dibandingkan dengan sebenarnya dulu? Berapa persen peningkatannya dan kira-kira mungkin pemanasan dari 2%, berapa menit dari pemanasan? Kalau mungkin pemanasan ada rutin ada biasanya kan mungkin 7 hari kalau sudah akan selesai mungkin kalau terus 2 hari selesai kan masih selesai pertanyaannya. Terus kalau misalnya there's not the material for the animal welfare that is in Indonesia. There is a lot of the name is catching cutting chicken that are there in your country in the Netherlands or in Europe to take this fruit because in Indonesia there's no the explanation for moderator the lower production, but in 2020 in COVID-19 the production is grow up, but the consumption is reasonable. There is all is cutting in Indonesia in 2020, but absolute taking your country is the production is growing, but consumption is steady.
You first? Okay. Um, this is also more or less a personal opinion. I think it's never wise that governments are trying to reduce production. Why not? Let the market do it by itself. And that's also what we see in Western Europe, because we have no influence of government on production. The farms are free to production. The only production what we have is the reduction that environmental regulations. And when you build a farm, you have requirements for environmental requirements. And you cannot everywhere build a poultry house. There are a lot of restrictions also for the environment. But we have even production rights. We have to pay for it. It's the same system what, for example, have in Canada. They have also a production quota. The way how they try it in Indonesia is to have to regulate the GPS production. That is all. It's the only country in the world they have. In my opinion, they make a mistake and then they start hatching. But how you, if you make, if you, for example, you say 50 sellable chicks per GPS. If you know, now, you get a quota of so many GPS, 50 sellable chicks, then you know how many PS you have. But they make no entry in GPS. There's a lot of companies, they are extend the production to 70, 80, sometimes until 100 pieces. But every GPS, several chicks, there are a lot of broilers behind it. And I get the idea why they are doing it. But then you have also to restrict your GPS production. Otherwise, you end up, and then they start hatching egg. And I think, in my opinion at least, they have to start a little bit earlier to try and even GPS quota, hatching eggs, is not really to think about the improved quality. They try all the requirements for GPS quota, etc. But it's not really trying to, that's maybe the way how they try to do it. In Western Europe, they focus much more on quality requirements. From the government, you have to produce in a certain way, otherwise you get no license. Only the big issue in Indonesia, right? I mentioned already 4 million, 3.5 billion. It's impossible to do. That's I'm not. I know the struggle from Indonesia, because the market is so big. How to? You can say you can make a regulation in Jakarta, but how you make sure that it also is done in Surabaya? That's you have also to control it, and that's if you do Europe, Indonesia, we are much smaller. The market is much smaller. Much more easy. I'm not saying what's wrong or right, but I understand. But that's the struggle. Yeah. What's the
Kalkulasi tapi paling tidak apa yang saya sampaikan bisa masuk dulu di konsep awalnya ya. Nah, terus itu ya. Tentu tidak serta-merta bisa dilaksanakan di semua jenis yang ada ya, yang mereka masih pakai house. Kita bisa kontrol di efisiensinya sampai seberapa. Ya, seperti tadi saya katakan kunci awalnya adalah kunci awalnya adalah kenyamanan. Kalau ayamnya nyaman, itu efek belakangnya akan baik. Dengan nyaman, yang enak, dengan nyaman, sistem kekebalan tubuh, penyakit, kematian. Ya. Dengan dia juga akan nyaman, dia akan bergerak atau di bibir ya seperti itu. Di kandang yang plus, ayam bisa makan. Ini kalau kita udah tentang kanan yang katanya bisa dipilih ya. Tapi kalau dibilang tadi apakah maju di dunia tanahnya itu akan maju dari hari kata ya 16 hari biasanya 14 hari maju apa enggak seperti itu. Maju atau tidak sebenarnya dari masalah pulinya. Dia maju kalau seandainya dia sudah punya jaket, dia sudah punya bulu ya. Kalau bulunya belum tumbuh cukup, ya dia pasti akan tumbuh. Tapi kalau bulunya sudah bagus, ya enggak. Dalam genetik itu juga ada dua sekarang, ada yang pas leader, atau semua leader itu lebih bagus. Ya,
Last question. Yeah, because you plan to finish at 3.
Yeah, there's always niche market. Yeah. For example, a funny thing, in my previous job, I was also working for an equipment company. They developed a system, KGB system. And they talked about when 1% Chinese start eating cage-free, you need a lot of houses. So there is always a market indeed. But yes, green. But you have also to find a farmer, and what I see the most problems is the agreement from the consumers to give a guarantee that they will buy the eggs. And that is, for example, when I look in the Netherlands, the supermarkets, they decided to go to cage free. Because in the Netherlands, you cannot buy any pigs egg anymore in the supermarket. Because that gives a lot of demand to the producers. And even the buyers of the eggs, they promise for a long time to buy that egg. If I look in Spain, for example, also Europe, the supermarkets, they place the eggs next to the cage eggs. And then 99% of consumers are cheaper. I think that. And that is the practical issue what we have. Right? A lot of consumers, they say that they want to buy, but when they in the supermarket or in the shop or whatever, and they see the cheaper eggs, then they take the cheaper eggs. And that is in general, and I would say 100%, in general, quite a big issue. Was past also involved on kind of special eggs selling. It was in that time was the sunflower egg. But it is so difficult, and everyone is saying, I want to buy it. But in reality, when they have the chance to make a choice a little bit cheaper, and not so much different, I think cheaper. Yeah, but it's based on that. I know also some farms. I was past New Zealand, the one's biggest cage-free farm from New Zealand. Yeah, and he sell it as a special product. But even he was struggling to continuously selling his eggs as cage-free. And now it is on the government, it's forced. Now he has an advantage because he knows how to do it. But to starting up this kind of projects, a lot of people talk about it, but then the behavior of consumers makes a big struggle to make that continuously as a project. And also what I mentioned in Yogyakarta and PGM, they have now a cage-free house.
Yes.
Yes. Dus a project with global food partners. And they install a new house cage free. The startup is already there, but let's see how that will develop.
Jadi PM support-nya kira-kiranya mungkin di tanah.
Kalau memang nanti ada rencana yang seperti itu, maka mungkin bisa konsultasi gitu. Kayak soalnya yang saya lihat kadang-kadang mereka beli buat kandang tekstil untuk produksi, kulitnya tuh beli di peternak biasa. Ini kan tidak bisa seperti yang contohnya Pak. Yang jadi dia harus diajar mulai dari dia harus belajar untuk cara, dia harus belajar untuk itu. Ya, masalahnya kan kita di kandang itu betul-betulnya di atas. Nah, kalau seandainya tidak diajari betul di atas, dia telur di bawah. Telur di bawah. Floor it jadinya masalah. Nah, jadi kalau memang benar sini misalnya mau apa, kita bisa apa, tapi sehingga mulai siapkan dari awal, nanti tidak dari atas.
Oke. Meski I give to Tim in jadi more question. Thinking about
Yeah, I did not think everything about what in below that because we are much more extreme than this. At the moment, the layers are not big small, no layer big anymore. And they were expecting a lot of problems. But luckily, we have almost no serious issues. They did it indeed to prevent cannibalism. But what we have learned on my remarks, understanding natural behavior and picking up the science is good. And that's what we are very good in now. Picking always starts with the living. And dus if you're picking up the science and you take direction actions, because the being will not say that you prevent packing, only because when the being is complete, when they take further, damage is much more. But the behavior of birds will not change. But yeah, then the government regulations with non-being and part of the law and management. But we have very low, almost no serious issue. There's no big is possible to take care of.
How the data price you need it in the and what is in your corner and how is that everything okay where figure out especially in the house.
Saya ada topik ada apa?
The labor cost in the Netherlands, really. Compared to Indonesia. What is the average monthly income? Yeah, for worker, around $300. Yeah, let's say $300. In the Netherlands is that $1,800 per month.
Yeah, go there.
Then you have the cheapest work.
Ya, mungkin contoh lagi satu. Nah di sini di antara yang orang mungkin 4.000 atau di layer ya, 4.000 atau di 40 gitu ya. Kalau di sana 50.000 orang setengah gitu. Ada satu orang setengah yang setengah itu kadang-kadang kerja, kadang-kadang enggak. Ya, ya itu berbeda.
Okay, doesn't matter. And we were on a farm with pedestal. And that farm was 40,000 pedestal. How many workers have 40,000 pedestal farm in Indonesia? Guys? Around 30, 35. And they asked in the parliament, how many people are working? Yeah, me and my worker. 40,000. One had, because the work was only taking the action here, he didn't have the 1.5 person to, and here 35. Yeah. But because that's what I mentioned here, labor cost is cheap. Only thing what people forget is sometimes by security. How you are managing, there are 35 people on the farm, by security, and there's no labor cost by security.
Ya, oke. Terima kasih ya. Pada penting for good discussion. Ya. Next time you can ambil that, itu berdasarkan pemain sudah. Ya. Oke, ya terima kasih banyak ya teman-teman di sini. Terima kasih semuanya ya, mas-mas saya yang sudah hadir. Terima kasih atas kedatangannya. Ya, jangan pulang dulu, kita bisa bersama. Ya, mau kita kota ya, jadi sangat before we take a picture, maybe I will have a certificate. It's first of all, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Tadi saya yang materinya saya email kan. Oh, nanti tak minta itu. Ada kamu itu. Apa tuh ya? Oh iya. Oh gitu. Makasih ya Mbak. Ya. Ini tiga ini ya. Ini buat ya. Apa itu? Aman. Nah, ya. Ya, ini